Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
You're most welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, like and also share to other new members to watch as well. You can also leave a comment after watching or send us your suggestion through our WhatsApp number showing on the screen. Thank you. Lawyer Kpebu has also come out with another bombshell about the government's ways of fighting corruption. He said the government doesn't have a requisite stand to fight corruption because he himself is corrupt in a way. Without much ado, I would like you to join me listening to what he said. Thank you.
Unfounded allegations of corruption and perception of wrongdoing hardly aid the fight against corruption. When corruption allegations have been investigated and findings made, exonerated the subject of investigations, there is no basis for continued suspicion of wrongdoing by civil society.
Well, that's the chief of staff there, Kosia Fremo Pari, talking about there is no basis for the continuous allegations of corruption by civil society. And she was speaking at the launch of the Corruption Perception Index, CPI, by the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the local chapter of Transparency International. They are also, well, a civil society organization. Now, what's the message in this? Especially because the continuous point that is made is that these are allegations. And you heard her talk about some unfounded allegations of corruption, but allegations made without basis. And then also one of the criticisms to this CPI is that it is perception-based and it does not have a link with the touch of reality. And so this is not one of the most potent ways of measuring the extent of corruption or the effectiveness of the fight against corruption on both sides. But is that really the case? Can that argument suffice? This morning, we'll tell you why that this argument or this position may not suffice because of what goes into the Corruption Perception Index itself and what leads to the conclusions that are made in this report or this index over the period and the recommendations that are made to improve on the situation. Because this is not just about ranking a country that least corrupt or most corrupt, but also making recommendations to improve on the situation. Has there been the clear commitment to really reduce corruption in this country? Well, at that same venue, Mami Atiwa Adedankwa, who is the Yoko boss, had a few words to say. In fact, she was put to the microphone by my colleague Beatrice Addo about some issues, including the Cecilia Dapa case that has been handed over to her office by the special prosecutor. She confirmed receiving the files and the documents on this Cecilia Dapa case. Take a look.
I mean, you have a very important role as the executive director of IOCO. Listening to the figures on corruption and all of that, aren't you concerned as an institution that is supposed to be investigating crime and all these issues?
Every Ghanaian is concerned. You are concerned. I am also concerned. Everybody should be concerned. And what do we have to do? We must all put our hands together and we must fight whatever is fighting us. That is what I can say. But the point is that, like OSP said, if we really need to fight it, then everybody must fight it. I have somebody who asked me for something, some money, some support to pay the school fees or something. Then after that, the moment I said I will help, she called me back to say I shouldn't put it on her Momo because he's owing MTN. Can you imagine? And I did. So these are some of the things, small things that we think they don't matter. But they do. It starts from small things and it becomes big. So everybody to have a change of attitude, mindset, that this is where we are. And this is where we want to go. And we must all play a role in the fight against corruption. One person cannot do it, and it's not about leadership. It's about everybody playing a role. Whatever is expected of you, you do it. Whatever is expected of me, I do it. Whatever is expected of institution, we do that. But at the end of the day, one thing that we should always remember is that when you are prosecuting corruption, it's not about what you think. It is about the evidence that you have. If you don't have evidence, you don't have a case. And that is what the public must understand. People make wild allegations, and when it comes to providing evidence, then they chicken out.
How do you deal with the criticism that you should be more proactive, like even the SML case when Manasseh came out with it? Like Yoko should have been the first to investigate it.
We take them in good faith, and we always learn. We take them in good faith. When somebody says you should have done this, you look at what the person is telling you, and if you think that is what you should have done, you learn from it, and next time you adjust your strategies, and then you move on, and you become a better person.
Thank you so much.
Well, so that's Mami Atiwa Adodankwa, the Yoko boss there, responding to questions about corruption and what the Economic and Organized Crime Office is also doing to help fight corruption in this country. We have a number of institutions that have the mandate of fighting corruption. There's a proposal by the special prosecutor, which we'll look into. It's also making another proposal for another layer to be added on to the fight against corruption. That is the creation of corruption courts. Now the question is, with all these institutions we have, from Yoko to CID to special prosecutor to attorney general and many others, why are we not winning this fight against corruption? I've been joined in studio by the Member of Parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency. He just survived the scare of his life, and they just ended primaries of the MPP. You won an election. That's Andiapi Akubi. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
And welcome.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Your other ringleader didn't survive. Eugene Boachienche
We didn't go
survive.
into elections of ringleaders. We went into primaries for various constituencies. It's unfortunate that my very good friend and compatriot did not win his election. But this is not the end of the world. I think we'll find other avenues in life, and he will progress on.
Indeed. We'll come to that conversation because you have serious concerns about what transpired on that day and on the run-up to even that Saturday, which we will get into as we go on in the conversation this morning. Also,
no, I had concerns before, during, and after. So
you had concerns before, during, and after the primaries.
And I shared my concerns.
Indeed.
And I believe that the people of Ghana will also have to look through it and see
certainly
what we have to do differently.
That's a lot to talk about. And also joining me is private legal practitioner, the leader of the Kpebu Reloaded demonstration. He doesn't want to accept when I say he's one of the foremost human rights lawyers in this country, but, well, the scorecard speaks for itself. Martin Kpebu is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Good morning.
It's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
For God and country.
Indeed. Also, Nelson Roxon Eche Dafiamepo is Member of Parliament for the South Dyke constituency, and he's a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament as well. They've been sitting this week. And good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, senior. Morning. Okay, my two seniors. Good morning.
Morning.
And my brother, congratulations for surviving this grueling primaries. It was grueling. You were part of the 98, so you were targeted. I know.
That's why he didn't reveal the identity of the man in parliament. And now I see that it's because of the. So now you've won. You have to reveal his identity.
Yeah, you see now you survived.
You have to reveal the identity of the businessman.
The provocation of Christian. I have just won an election.
Well, congratulations is in order.
Anyway.
Okay, so
we'll wait for you.
This morning, I have lawyers, and say in the multitude of lawyers, there is counsel. We will see how things play out this morning. And I'll also be joined by Mariada shortly, the director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. They released this Corruption Perception Index. Now, let's take a look at this. We do a chronicle over the last few years for you to understand why this is of a concern to all of us, or we should be concerned about it. Take a look at this. From at least the last 6-7 years, this index. When you look at 2018, we scored 41 out of 100. That's a 100 clean score. So you can look at it as a percentage. And what you score in school, certainly 41 is a fail. 2019, 41. 2020, 43. Till date. So how this is scored is that the closer you are to 100 is what sees, yes, but what we are saying is, well, so the most, would I say, appreciative score that we had was sometime in 2014 when we had 48. So take a look at how things have been over the last 6 years. Okay? 43, 43, 43, 43 from 2020. We've been stagnating there. Right? And there were some recommendations as well that the executive should urgently take steps to lay the conduct of public officers bail. Urgently. The emphasis there. Because according to the CPI, that bill has the potency to cure some of the ills that we have in this society. But does the executive have the will to do so? That's another question. The executive and the legislature, I have 2 members of parliament here, must take steps to bridge legal gaps for the prosecution of selected corruption cases outside the current legal framework. They also make recommendations that the government must give the justice system resources and transparency needed to effectively punish all corruption offenses, plus reform laws on defamation to allow journalists to report on corruption, so that when journalists just talking about issues of corruption, the next moment you are dragged for defaming some individuals. Let me start off with you, Lawyer Martin Kpebu, on this matter. Rightly so, because these cases of corruption, either prosecuted some in court or even at the civil society level, for that matter. Now, looking at the index and how we have stagnated over the period, what's the story in there?
It just tells you that President Akufo-Addo and his administration lost the fight a long time ago. Very long time ago. So 2017. I think the 2017 mark didn't show it. From what I have, in 2017, we got 40. 40. Yes. And 2016, what John Mahama left us with was 43. Akufo-Addo takes over and it plummets to 40. So we sank that low. Then before 2018, we got to 41. And then 2019, 41 before the 43. And you see that the 43 we have, coincidentally, is also John Mahama's worst performance. The man that we all vilified and voted against him in 2016. We thought he was the real, the most corrupt president we had ever seen. No, that one was just a joke. We're yet to see the real mother serpent of corruption, right? The clearing agent. And so that's the story. You know, the thing is that President Akufo-Addo has always been interested in grandstanding. Who make very lofty promises. Because the moment, and it's not surprising that in 2017 we scored 40. Why? Because when he came in with so many brothers and sisters as ministers. And that's the first sign of corruption. The finance minister is still at post. Amwakwata, Atachian, so many people. Today, I understand somebody is saying they are qualified. That's the reason. But candidate Akufo-Addo was very clear that family and friends in government is corruption. Very, very clear. Nepotism, cronyism, yes, variants of corruption. So the moment he came in, and came with so many family members. It was clear. I think they were even very charitable that they gave us the 40. Yes. Just like this year, look, Transparency International should be very clear. They are being too diplomatic. We don't like this. We live here, and we are very clear in our minds that this, what do you call the mark, 43 is too generous. But for 4 years, 43, we've been feeling the corruption thing. Look at last year, look at the Pence case and all that. So what's
that case is still being prosecuted.
Yes,
the special prosecutor has just handed it over to Yoko. He says, per his investigations, his money laundering. So how did you want that to feature in the index?
Yeah, so for me, is the perception. If you look at all the indices that you use in the indicators, rule of law, all that, Cecilia Dapa not playing ball and all that. So it should have fed in. It should have fed in seriously that, look, we get lower marks. So Transparency International should sit up. They should look at this scoring again. Because we all feel it. You see, I'm not the only one saying it. Lots of people are saying, no, this mark doesn't reflect our situation. We did worse than that. It appears, we are the darling boy of the Bretton Woods institutions. You see, just like our economy, we didn't properly qualify for the IMF bailout, but because Ghana is the darling boy, and also these institutions need to tell a story, because if Ghana fails, they will have no story to tell. They have to often prop us up a bit. I think that's the kind of mark, because it's very clear. This thinking corruption, the way corruption is so rife in Ghana last year, come on. And even the year 2022, citizens have always been right. They've been saying it that, look, special prosecutor should search all the ministers, right? Yeah, because people feel it, people know it, people see it. He who feels it knows it. You think the citizens don't understand? You think they don't understand? So the story is that Akufo-Addo is just being interested in grandstanding, but the moment he came into government with a host of his family members, that was when we lost the plot, and we would never recover as long as his family members are dotted all over, and friends all over. Because he said it. That's the standard he set in 2016, and it's true. Nepotism, cronism, yes, they are variants of corruption, because you are using public office for private gain, because you come in and then you put family and friends. I know it's also in the criminal code that don't use public office for what? Private gain.
So that argument that they are qualified will not suffice.
Absolutely,
at all. If it's ever brought up, is one that based on the provisions, it cannot stand.
Even the qualifications are very doubtful. Is Ofori-Atta the most talented person to be finance minister? Even within the MPP, you don't know Marcus Sibe and Co. What are we talking about? It's the most absurd argument I've ever heard, that they are the most qualified. What makes Ofori-Atta the most qualified person as rules minister? What is his training an engineer? It's not a lawyer, and at law was he the best in any field? Let's not begin to analyze them. Sorry? Ofori-Atta is a lawyer. Yeah, he's a lawyer.
I want you to take a listen to the president, because he has a response for you.
He should. I'm just happy. I can't wait.
He has a response for you.
He's seen his real side.
You listen to him.
Okay.
Let's take a listen to the president talking about corruption, because he says that he's been fighting corruption. Right?
No, throwing money at it is not the thing. That's why today I've come with the big books. You see people, citizens standing up to report corruption, testify against ministers. That's where you think as we sit now, we've not heard cases of corruption, but citizens are intimidated. Go to the ministries.
That's another aspect of the report.
That's the main part.
Which we'll get to, but take a listen to the president right now.
Every single alleged act of corruption leveled against any of my appointees has been investigated by independent bodies. It is not my job to clear or convict any person accused of wrongdoing, despite the effort of some to tag me as a clearing agent. That is the job of the courts and the law enforcement agency. Mindful of the enormity of the task in evaluating anti-corruption interventions, strategies and action plans, an evaluation team of diverse expertise, including those in political science, economics, communication, and gender, has been constituted to evaluate the maiden NACA.
So that's the president. It's not his job to clear. He referred all cases of these allegations of corruption against his appointees to the appropriate authorities. They investigated and declared them. That's the president's response to you. I mean, well, to those who make the point about him being corrupt and a clearing agent.
No, he's shifted the goalposts.
Why?
He's shifted the goalposts. That's not the promise on which he was elected. The promise on which he was elected was that he will use the ANAS principle.
Okay.
The ANAS principle. And what's the ANAS principle? Meaning that he himself was going to set many private investigators out there to investigate. Today, he should tell me which any single case he used the ANAS principle. I mean, Mr. Okanse, you tell me, unless I don't understand the ANAS principle. The ANAS does what? Private investigations, right? It's first based upon what? Rumors, some reputation. Somebody acquires a reputation for wrongdoing. Then the citizens complain. So based on that, then, what do you call it? ANAS goes in there to do his work. So President Kufuor should show us one single case he heard us complain about in the public, and he commissioned private investigators to go into it. He should show us one single case, just one, that he commissioned private investigators to investigate that alleged act of corruption as a result of complaints by citizens. Because then he would be able, though one will not be sufficient, but I've just lowered the bar for him for this one. He hasn't. Now he's gone back to this same, what do you call it, conventional way. Oh, what institutions have what? Investigated. But does he forget that he stepped in and he's been clearing the suspects? The boss case. So let's take boss, for instance. The boss case, when it was being investigated, didn't he step in to stop it altogether? Didn't he? Didn't he? So how can he say that he has done all that he has to do? Look, throwing resources, yes, I understand. Yes, when you resource the institutions, it also helps, etc. But look, the plain truth is that the major thing is that he has not had the requisite willpower to fight corruption because he himself is corrupt. He started the corruption right from the get-go.
Why do you say he's corrupt?
Yes, number one, it's out there for all of us to see. When he brought in his friends and families, he himself, you can pull it, 2016.
You say that's a sign of corruption?
Yes, that is it. That's the beginning. Nepotism. And there are criminal offenses Act 29, makes it clear, don't use public office for private gain. So when you put in your family members, and friends all over, isn't Bedi through there as executive secretary, etc. The people there and the party apparatchiks, right? To appoint an executive secretary, what kind of public tendering did he do? What public tendering did he do? Was the position advertised that we want an executive secretary to the president? So Ghanaians should apply so that we can do what? Vet them and check competency. Which one?
Do we have a precedence of that position being advertised ever before?
It doesn't have to be, because he himself set the standard that when you bring in family and friends, that is corruption. He himself. So it's too late in the day to change. And it's true. It's backed by the Criminal Offences Act. It's in there that don't use public office for private gain. So for me, when you put in family members, that is what you call using public office for private gain. Number two, Oforiatta Sisters, finance minister. You know, when we borrow, then they make money. Data Bank. Data Bank is a primary dealer. Data Bank also gives advice. It's there. Will you just Google, please, viewers, just Google Ministry of Finance, their website. It's there. You see that they admit that Data Bank does transaction advisory services. And Data Bank is what? A primary dealer. So when we issue the bonds, they buy primary dealers, they take them in bulk and then retail to the other banks. Before they came in, there were a host of institutions. There were far more than 3. But when they came in, then they rigged the numbers and answered Data Bank, what do you call it, Dubois Hines Company, and then another one. They should be primary dealers. Ricketts Hagen has been here. He's told you that Data Bank during the NDC administration was brought on as an apprentice. They never issued bonds themselves, right? They were brought in. You see how requisite and co in the previous administration, they tried to build the capacity of local industry. But when Akufo-Addo and Ofori-Atta got the chance, they started taking away licenses of opponents. You remember the famous case of the Dufour's Unibank sent away thousands of bankers. They are now unemployed. People are driving Uber, etc. And you see karma. Later on, when data banks started suffering, you see that the Ogbami Tete couldn't revoke the license of data bank because that's another one. Ogbami Tete is Ofori-Atta's small boy from data bank.
What do you mean by small boy?
Yes, that's Ghanaian English. We have to be proud of our English.
I'm
his
sure you
prodigy. Sometimes we need to speak.
Okay, so if you understand, if you use
prodigy. So prodigy, see when you say prodigy, that's too complex. It's a small boy. Everybody understands. Let's communicate to viewers well. The big English, we come here, we try to avoid legal terms and the rest. I say prodigy, but I prefer small boy. As soon as I say small boy. Small boy, please, let's get it. Small boy, it's not colloquial.
I get
the
the
British,
point.
you take British books, yes, small boys and big boys in politics.
So you've explained what you meant by that.
Yes, etc. So as for the family and friends, all over. So, and yet, some of the most critical decisions that President Akufo-Addo ought to take, he's not taking. Look at it, Mr. Okanse. Once again, we are holding the Gazette publication, the publication of assets under Rawlings.
I'm going to hold you on to that point because I'll come back to you on the recommendations, right, which includes the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which is public knowledge that you have been very committed and consistent about what has to be done.
And then, Mr. Okanse, one more example, please. The corruption against President Akufo-Addo directly. The fumigation during COVID, right, when there was no need for any fumigation, the assembly said they didn't need it. There were already pre-existing contracts. President Akufo-Addo personally awarded the contract, right?
So you're looking at that, Manasseh?
Yes, over 500 million. That's why I said under Article 57, Article 57 doesn't protect the president for crimes. It solely is talking about the immunity of the president is for official acts that are done in good faith, not crimes. Okay. So as for Akufo-Addo, look, when
there are some of the issues you are going to pick up in court, right?
We'll petition for Akufo-Addo to be prosecuted for the assembly, that contract over 500 million.
And there are some of the issues you have stated that you're going to take him to court.
Absolutely.
On.
Yes.
The Honorable Apia Kobi. So this score certainly is one that, you know.
Thank you for joining us. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do so for us. Hit the notification bell, like and also share to other members to watch. Let it reach everybody, please. Thank you very much for your effort.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.